An alleged drive-by shooter released without charges despite public promises for accountability.
At this time, and I'm sorry, it's going to be towards Sonya. We're going home? Yes.
Patients hit with extra charges they never agreed to for a routine doctor's visit.
Facility fees are unjustified add-on costs from the hospital for a regular doctor's appointment.
Drivers held to contracts they've never read, and it's costing them. Tonight, we investigate the fine print. When systems fail, people pay the price. We trace the damage, expose the truth, and fight to fix it. This is Uncovered by Atlanta News First Investigates.
A sheriff's deputy shot in downtown Atlanta, but no one is facing charges more than a year after those shots were fired. Atlanta News First Chief Investigator Brennan Keefe has obtained the video that Atlanta police still refuse to release, now uncovering what really happened.
I've been hit. Where y'all been hit?
I got an officer hit at this time.
Be like, this might be a Fulton County unit shot or Fulton County unit shot.
Atlanta police swarm a downtown block looking for a gunman and the deputy he shot.
No, he gone to Grady.
Hey, officer going to Grady already.
One GSW to the lower leg. He's fine.
The undercover Honda right here.
It all happened next to this unmarked Honda with the police lights. The deputy chasing a suspect who ran from him.
The deputy was assisting with a call for a suspicious person in the area.
Of course, with him being unmarked, he was able to locate the dude.
Okay.
And I don't know if he tried to approach him or what, but shots were fired, he ended up getting hit.
A Fulton County deputy was shot in what police say was a drive-by shooting. The deputy was shot from a moving car before the suspect drove off and is expected to make a full recovery.
Right now, the perp is still at large.
The sheriff, Pat Labat, promised swift justice.
We're going to get this young man, and we're going to hold him accountable.
Either we're going to find him or he's going to be found.
The next day, troopers stopped the suspect car.
Believed to be the car involved in this drive-by shooting. A male and female were detained for questioning.
This is the shooter. Ivan Watson admitted it during a 4.5-hour interrogation by Atlanta police.
When he got the car, I said, leave him alone. And then he turned the gun toward me and shot. And I returned the fire.
Watson says he saw an armed man chasing his brother and fired at who he thought was an attacker, not a cop.
When I came down the street, I seen when he had guns. How you know it's an officer? The news. The news right on the day. He jumped the curb. He jumped the curb. How about when he jumped the curb? I got the car with the gun, like my brother was just, like car, he couldn't shoot him. I said, how about the car with the gun? Like, leave him alone. Like, leave him alone. And he turned the gun toward me and shot. And I shot back. You said he shot at you first? Yeah, he shot first. I said, leave, before I even shot, I said, leave him alone. And he shot. He shot first. I had in the camera recording, the cameras or whatever. Y'all see he shot first. But if he would have stayed on my officer, he'd think I would have slid up for leave.
How many times he shot at you?
Well, he only got one time to get out. I just, I was scared him.
So what really happened here? On one hand, investigators had the word of an admitted shooter who said he'd been in and out of jail since he was 15 years old. And on the other hand, they had this written statement from a career deputy who claimed he never fired his weapon that day. But from day one, investigators had something else. Surveillance video of the shooting itself. Video Atlanta police still refuse to give us more than a year later. Video you can see now because we obtained it from a source inside the sheriff's office. That's Watson's brother running down the street. The deputy's unmarked car in hot pursuit, the video capturing no lights or sirens. Deputy Evans LaFond jumps out of the Honda in plain clothes, holding the brother at gunpoint just out of frame. Deputy LaFond is hit in the lower leg, drops his gun and tries to run for cover, then identifies himself as an officer. Atlanta police concluded, quote, video evidence shows Sheriff Officer Evans LaFond not identifying himself as a police officer to Mr. Watson before firing his weapon.
I've been hit when y'all been hit. You never got a chance to fire. It's like a leg shot, lower leg.
The deputy's written statement says, I did not discharge my weapon during the incident.
Did he discharge firearm? Did your officer? I don't know. Y'all might come out for that. Yeah, because there's a separate shell case in there.
A single 9mm shell casing was found next to LaFond's unmarked police car, separate from a dozen .40 caliber shell casings where the shooter had been.
Stay right here until we get somebody to mark this.
Yeah, this is the only one that's here.
The Atlanta police incident report shows LaFond fired his weapon. Before backup arrived, someone turned on LaFond's siren. Atlanta police determined, quote, the footage also shows Sheriff Officer LaFond getting help from a bystander putting on his police equipment before additional police arrived on the scene.
At this time, and I'm sorry, it's going to be forced on you.
Okay. We're going to have
Neither one of y'all.
We're going home?
Yes.
Ivan Watson and his girlfriend were released without charges, and the case was closed.
They gonna let you get the car. So they let you go home. They let both of us go.
Sheriff Labatt, who had promised accountability after the shooting, gave the recovering deputy a commendation for bravery and later promoted LaFond to sergeant.
We've got Chief Investigative Reporter Brendan Keefe here. Now, if that deputy was plainclothes, there's no lights, no sirens, how was Watson supposed to know this was law enforcement? But also, what are the rules here for undercover law enforcement when they're pulling a gun out?
Yeah, so in this case, he was working an extra detail, essentially an extra job. And so he was in plainclothes, but he normally is assigned this vehicle that's a Honda that looks like any other car until you turn those lights and that siren on. And so anyone in Watson's situation would have not assumed he was a law enforcement officer. And that's kind of what courts have to decide. What would a reasonable person in the same situation do? Would they believe he was a police officer? Or would they believe, my brother is in danger, someone just pulled a gun on him? And that's literally the definition for the use of lethal force in Georgia. A reasonable fear of imminent serious injury or bodily death to you or a third party, in this case his brother. And so police really had no choice but to not charge him because he believed it was an attacker, not a cop, and he believed his brother's life was in danger. And so he was actually authorized to use lethal force at that point.
Atlanta police is saying that video shows the officer didn't identify themselves, and so no charges were filed. Who actually makes that final call here?
Well, it would be an assistant district attorney or the district attorney, but it never got to that point. It never got to a point where any formal charges were considered because the belief of the shooter was that he was shooting an attacker, not a cop.
If this video always existed, why did it take more than a year for the public to see it?
It's a good question. We are having trouble getting records from the Atlanta Police Department in general. It's taking longer and longer and costing more and more. We put a request for these records in December of 2025. And immediately we got a response from the Public Relations Division of the police department saying, we didn't even investigate that case. Well, that wasn't true. They didn't even bother to check. It was only after I sent still photos saying, well, here's an APD officer. Here's a news conference you held. Where's this guy's body camera? And then they apologized and said, sorry, yes, we did investigate, but now you have to go through our records department. I went through the records department and it took months and months and months of emails back and forth. Ultimately, because of the cost, we just got that one body camera, some surveillance video, the incident report, and then that surveillance video we requested multiple times. They said we can't have it because of two exceptions to the Records Act. To paraphrase them, one is about protecting confidential informants. And this was a business, or actually a homeless aid facility that had a surveillance camera. And then the other claim they made was that it would subject that equipment or that camera to some sort of attack or terrorist attack, which is a little bit hard to believe. In short, that video will never be public unless the Atlanta police change their mind.
As always, excellent reporting. Thanks so much, Brendan.
Patients hit with $100 fees after routine visits to the doctor's office. We investigate the costly care next on Uncovered.
Routine visits to the doctor's office costing patients hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Extra charges called facility fees are leaving patients feeling blindsided. Investigative reporter Carice Jackman uncovers the costly care.
Come here, you're gonna heal, okay? Come here.
On the eastern shores of Virginia,
Grass in your face, too.
you'll find Corrine Vincent and her service dog, Siggy, staying fit. When she's not feeling well, she makes it a priority to get herself checked.
Oh, sick.
That's exactly what happened in 2024.
I went on February 19th and also on February 22nd to see 2 different doctors. I was having some gastro issues and I have a hernia in my abdomen.
Vincent paid around $40 for the co-pays. But when she got her invoice for hundreds more, she was flabbergasted.
And how much did it cost you in the end?
For the 2 visits, just the facility fees were over $300. And my first thought was, I didn't go to the hospital. I went to the doctor's office. It's not in the hospital. My body did not enter the hospital. What I did not understand was where it says provider-based office. Honestly, I didn't know what a provider-based office is or was, so my brain ignored that. I printed it out and now I see that they did have this little disclaimer, item 10.
Why do you think that's unfair?
I think the average person, even the above average person, is not going to understand what this means.
A facility fee is an extra charge some hospitals add for using their building, equipment, and support staff, separate from the doctor's professional fee. It often shows up when you're seen at a hospital-owned clinic or even an outpatient department. Patients can end up with a second bill, even though your visit felt like a regular doctor's appointment.
Facility fees are unjustified add-on costs from the hospital for a regular doctor's appointment.
Patricia Kelmar, Senior Director of Healthcare Campaigns with US PIRG, has been studying the impact of facility fee on patients for years.
That disclosure needs to be upfront at the point of making the appointment. It should be very clear to the patient.
Molly Smith, who represents the American Hospital Association, says facility fees are needed to keep hospitals functioning.
A hospital would never wants that situation where a person is coming in uncertain about any aspect of their care.
People oftentimes will use the analogy, you go to a grocery store, you know exactly what you're gonna pay. Why is it not the case for a hospital?
Healthcare is just unfortunately not that simple. It is incredibly complex. Every patient case can be quite different from the next. There are just so many things that can happen in healthcare that it's just not kind of a consumer good the way that maybe something that you buy in the grocery store that is getting mass produced is. So we're just not talking about the same types of products and services.
Back in Virginia, Vincent says she's still not paying the facility fee charges. In her eyes, it's a matter of principle.
Ask the right questions and don't put themselves into situations like I did, where there were going to be these big surprises.
US PIRG says more than 20 states have enacted laws to protect patients from facility fees, but would like to see more comprehensive policies to curb hospital charges for outpatient care.
No boot, no ticket, just a bill in the mail. We uncover the parking contract costing drivers hundreds of dollars.
A college freshman makes a quick stop in a private parking lot without paying. He left for 20 minutes and didn't see a ticket. But weeks later, he got hit with a $97 bill in the mail. Atlanta News First consumer investigator Better Call Harry reveals his rookie mistake and how you can avoid making the same one.
What were you thinking? I was thinking I could run in and out. I was thinking this wouldn't come back to haunt me for some reason.
Mekhi Adlam will be a sophomore next fall at Georgia State University in downtown Atlanta. His freshman year, he made a freshman mistake when he parked in a paid lot. He didn't have time to scan the QR code and spend the next what feels like 40 minutes, downloading an app to create an account, enter his license plate, and make payment. Besides, he thought the first 20 minutes were free. Freshman.
So you got back to your car, what'd you say? I actually saw nothing. There was no printed ticket or anything.
So really, you thought you were good when you got back?
Yeah.
You didn't know that you had violated any rules?
At all.
Oops. Mackay didn't see the camera that took a picture of his car as he drove away. His mom, Maisha Hunter, found out when she received a $97 non-compliance notification from a company called Parking Revenue Recovery Services, PRRS. Parking lot owners across the U.S. use PRRS for its vision-based AI technology.
Don't laugh. This is not funny.
We knew about the company from a story we aired in 2024 when it mistakenly sent a Metro Atlanta woman dozens of non-compliance letters totaling $10,764. It sent her pictures of a car parked in a Miami parking deck, a car she sold years ago.
I even would email and say, boot the car. Then the real owner will show up.
Following our investigation, PRRS removed the fees for her. But remember, Mackay may have violated the rules, and there are lots of them. Look at the sign. PRRS requires drivers to read before they park.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, read these terms
Prior to parking. Okay, thanks.
Mackay says he had no idea he was entering into a contract that requires arbitration. And if you'd like to read more, there are QR codes for its privacy policy and collection terms.
This is a contract. By parking on this facility, you accept all of these terms.
PRRS says its fees are determined by local regulations and the cost to operate in a given location. And those who don't comply will be assessed additional fees up to $250 per violation.
I mean, the fee to park here isn't bad. I mean, $6 an hour?
Yeah.
It's an important lesson for Mackay and a warning for the tens of thousands of soccer fans who will park in private lots for the World Cup. If they don't pay or time expires, they could get a bill from a private company for hundreds of dollars in fees, not to mention being booted for $75 or towed. Although a spokesman says that if a driver is booted or towed, he or she will not get a notice from PRRS.
Harry, some mistakes this driver made, but for our audience, how can they check if they've been captured by these cameras?
I think you need to assume that if you're going to park in a private lot, that there's going to be a camera there, especially if you're paying through a QR code and you're having to sign up for an account. I mean, the second thing is get out of your car and look. Mm-hmm. But you know what? You want to look before you park. Maybe just park in a parking deck where the gate goes up old school and you pay either when you go in a flat rate or you pay when you go out by the hour. But that's, we're seeing less and less of that now. Now everybody, I don't want to spend the time on my phone scanning and signing up and giving out my personal info. I want to pay for parking.
That sign is saying this is a contract.
Right.
And contracts have terms. So what terms should our viewers be on the lookout for? There's that arbitration, fees, privacy data collection.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at what the fees could be and what the max is. And if you're looking at the possibility of paying $250, do you want to be getting, bills one after another? And then what you want to really avoid is it going to collections, because then it goes to collections and then it hits your credit. And it's just,
What advice would you give folks? Worst case scenario here, how fast can these fees stack up? How can you fight it?
Well, I think my first advice would be, take a picture of when you park. I will say this, in all the stories that I've done, pay it with a credit card and dispute it and get out of there. Waiting and, 45 minutes or half an hour that they're, the amount of time that they're supposed to be there to either take off a boot or, let you out of this lot. I mean, it's not worth it. It's not you're better off fighting it a different day and getting out of there and going home. If you go and park in a lot that has a gate and it's got set fees and you pay when you leave, you're good. You should be good. I've always been good.
All right, thanks so much, Harry.
You can listen to all of our extended conversations on these stories right now on our podcast, Behind the Investigation. Just search Atlanta News First on your favorite podcast platform. You're watching Uncovered by Atlanta News First Investigates, a weekly hour-long investigative show with new episodes launching every Sunday at 7.